I get a phone call from the owner saying that the neighbors have reported that police have shown up at the property multiple times over the last 3 months, that the cops have been called. There was a helicopter once. Yeah. It just so happened that it was maybe a day apart that the tenant, the gentleman who lived there was a man and a woman.
Okay.
Sent me an email saying, my girlfriend needs to move out. She hasn't been living here for a week. She keeps coming over to harass me. And then 2 days later, he sends me a picture of him in a hospital bed with a giant gash in his forehead, like a selfie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Lockbox. I'm Stephanie Zalowski. And today, you might recognize this one sitting next to me. We decided to do a little part two. We have Brittny Brown with us from Bridgehause Property Management. And then we've got her sister, Chloe Brown, back. Hi, guys.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
If you recall, when you were here a couple weeks ago, I told the story of how I definitely dissed them both at an event last year. But now we're besties, and I'm so thankful that they're cool. Brittny, like Chloe, has seen it all in property management. And when we were at their office, Chloe and I were chatting, and Britt kept coming in, recalling stories and yelling, "What about this?" And then we were like, okay, she just needs to come on separately. So welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thank you.
You're welcome. By the way, you do spell it Brittny.
Correct.
I looked up on the website because I was like, if I'm going to, you were like, here's B's number, which didn't help me at all. You know what I mean? Because I was like, is it ANY, ENY, NNY? Like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, it's NY. I've actually never seen that spelling before.
My parents are very creative.
But you know what? I wanted my mom to be creative. And I was like, you couldn't have like thrown an F in there. And she's like, absolutely not. Because her name is spelled Lorie instead of like LAU.
Right.
And she could never find anything with her name on it as a kid. So she was like, I'm not going to do that to you. And she named me after Stephanie Powers, the actress, if you recall.
Yes.
And so I was like, I mean, okay, fine.
Yeah,
you know
but plus your last name has an X in it. Exactly. So that like trips people out in general.
Do you know that when I was born, they were only 20 years old when they had me, just married at 19, got pregnant. Whoops. Yeah. And they decided to name me Stephanie Elizabeth, which was my grandmother's name, Zalowski. Mm-hmm. And my uncle telegrammed, by telegram, sent a note to them and said, is it telegram? What are those things? Yeah. You know, you used to get messages, you know, whatever it was Morse back code? In the 80s.
No. Yeah. Same Morse code.
Yeah, it was basically that. And he was like, you know, her initials are going to be sex, right? And also that is, I don't think I've ever said that on this. I've never told the story on the show. And it was also the longest name, Stephanie Elizabeth. No A, Elizabeth Zalowski.
Is that like, your name actually?
It's now Stephanie Beth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. But it like longer than fucking, there's more letters in that name than there were in the alphabet.
Seriously.
Like, my mom's like, we were 20. I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, clearly. So yeah, growing up, like that story got out and like in grade school, kids would be like, hey, sex. Like, you know, and I think they just like put two and two together and like, you know, anyway. Okay.
It's better than having the last name Brown because they relate to other things. Well, my initials are BMB. So people, oh God, is this going to be on the podcast?
Yes, we are. This is on.
People used to call me BM Brown, which is bowel movement Brown.
Oh my God, that's so mean. Kids are mean.
Yeah, her Instagram handle is still BM Brown 333. Why? Not
it should have been BM Brown 2.
Oh my God, I'm gonna request you on Instagram and just be like this.
It's terrible.
Oh no.
Oh, you guys make me wish I had a sister.
We have a good relationship.
It's so How far apart are you guys?
A year and a half.
That's so fun. Yeah. My niece she knows how obsessed I am with my niece, and there's a baby coming on the way, and it's a girl, which no one in our family has like two of the same gender. Like everyone all over has like one of each or two and two or whatever, like 2 boys, 2 girls. Like if there's 4 kids, or it's never just been 2 girls. So it's like so different for us. I know. Yeah. I'm kind of jealous.
It's fun. We have a good time.
But now I have you guys, and I will never diss you for a drink again. I promise. In fact, we're just going to start going to events together.
Yes.
There we go. Exactly. Anyway. Okay. On that note, you were starting with a poop story or a domestic violence story? No, you weren't allowed to tell. Chloe said no to the poop story.
There is a domestic violence story.
But that's a little dark, but you said it's crazy.
It's a little crazy.
Okay, go.
Should we start with that?
Sure.
Okay. I have
Manager?
Yeah.
She says yes.
I have to refrain from using like street names.
Yeah, no street names.
No,
or
Yeah, no
naming
names.
of
Yeah.
people's names.
No.
Okay, so where do I start? With the owner of the property, who was in general a nightmare. Kind of fast forward to the end of this whole situation. This woman was probably the meanest client that I ever had.
And she was the owner, not the tenant.
She was the owner.
Okay.
And kind of towards the end, my broker said, you have to end this with her because she is treating you so terribly. You do not need to. I learned a lot from this conversation because he's like, you do not need to do business with people who she was berating me.
Yeah, I've been there with one. It's only been that bad one time, and I have blocked and will never ever work with these people again. Yeah. It gets bad, and it's not okay to treat us that way. By the way, doesn't matter what line of the business you're in with real estate. Like, you can't treat people like that.
Yeah,
like, that's not okay.
She legitimately made me. There's been two. Made me feel like a terrible human being. It wasn't like I'm doing a bad job as a property manager, which I didn't even do a bad job as that property manager.
Yeah.
She was. There's another story I could tell, but she was going after my character and she doesn't even know me that well. Anyway, so that's kind of like,
some people just do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, so she is the total nightmare, but she owns this property.
She owns this property. She moves out of state, or maybe she moved out of the country to Canada.
Okay.
Anyway, we do our regular thing where we, I think her place was in UTC, and we find tenants. So we're like, searching for tenants, whatever. Our leasing gal finds this couple. They seem super nice. They want to move in because they want to have a family.
Okay.
And they're planning on getting pregnant.
Amazing.
And they move in, I don't know, 2-3 months later, I get a phone call from the owner saying that the neighbors have reported that police have shown up at the property multiple times over the last 3 months, that the cops have been called. There was a helicopter once. And the owner called, I can't remember if it was an email or a call, but, I'm like, okay, let me look into this. It just so happened that it was maybe a day apart that the tenant, the gentleman who lived there was a man and a woman,
Okay.
sent me an email saying, my girlfriend needs to move out. She hasn't been living here for a week. She keeps coming over to harass me. And then 2 days later, he sends me a picture of him in a hospital bed with a giant gash in his forehead, like a selfie. And proceeds to tell me a whole story about how she came over, was super upset with him, threw her phone at his face. He got a restraining order against him. She is then telling us he's partying and he's having like...
Oh my God. So she's emailing you separately.
They're both coming at me from their own angles. And he's having strippers over, stripper parties with drugs and...
Stop.
I don't even know what. And he's denying the whole thing. It was I didn't even know. I still don't know who was telling the truth.
I mean, it's probably a little bit somewhere in the middle. Like, it's probably true, right? Like, they are just... How old do you think they were?
In their mid-30s.
Okay.
30s? Okay, I thought they were older.
The funniest part about this that I just remembered is she was a life coach.
Well, of course.
And I... I just couldn't... She told me she was a life coach and how she needs to get away from him because she needs to do some healing, which I'm totally for. Like, do not have people in your life. Yeah.
Same. But like, it's a little heavy handed when you're like, okay.
And but then you threw your phone at his face.
And caused a gash. Like, what? I mean.
Stitches, hospital. He continuously sent me photos and doctor documentation of the whole situation. Anyway, so then I had to call this owner.
And the one that you can't stand. And you're like, not only do I not like you, but now we've placed crazy tenants in your property.
Yeah.
And was any of the neighbors contacting her? Had she ever contacted you being like, what the F is going on there?
She did initially, but I can't remember what happened first. I think maybe I found out from the tenants that this dispute was happening. And then I was trying to figure out what was actually happening. I was hearing from her, him.
Yeah.
And so then I could gather all the information in order to go to the owner and make a recommendation. Should we, obviously for domestic violence victims, they can give 14 days notice and be out of the property by law. So I needed to get all the information, talk to my attorney, And in the meantime, she hears from, now that I remember, she hears from the neighbors and she comes to me. And then she's upset because I didn't tell her immediately what was going on with that. I didn't, I heard from the tenants. I didn't tell her that day. That's kind of where
and you're like,
the
okay, but
berating
I'm
started.
also, you're like, but I'm trying to gather information or find out what's actually factual or true or whatever. Like, you're trying to do your job. Like,
and we also didn't know the extent of that.
Well, yeah.
The neighbors, that there was a helicopter, that there was police. We didn't know that.
But there was a SWAT team.
Because if we did, then obviously, it's like, hey, we want to let you know XYZ. And it's funny, after you've been in the business for long enough, you start to realize some red flags. So, I'm the one that talks to folks that are interested in coming on board with us to just kind of give them the lay of the land. Brittany really works. She does all the ops.
Okay.
But
so you're kind of doing that initial like intake phone call situation.
Yeah.
And you can sniff out.
And going to
red
the
stuff.
property, like meeting them, my
Standing
leasing
on the hood
gal.
of your car in heels, trying to get over a gate. If anyone didn't listen to her last episode, please.
That's funny too.
Hold on, total side note.
Cherokee?
I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, what property?
Yeah.
Max, that bird will not stop chirping, and I know we can hear it. Can you go close the kitchen window? I left it open on accident, and I was like, every time you're talking, I hear the crow being like, "Rah,
I can
rah,"
hear it
and I'm
too.
like, God damn it,
Now.
this is gonna like totally just like anyway.
That's
we
good,
leave
your
this all in
ears.
here. We don't even care. Sorry for the birds, everybody. Okay, so yeah, what property was that where you're standing in your hood?
Oh, yeah, that was a property that now the
didn't
the tenants
do it,
that
right?
No, the tenants that moved in, his kids playing video games in the garage and like pissing off all the neighbors.
Yelling.
and also like sneaking out in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m, because the guy goes, no, he comes in at 10, and we're like, no, we have a record of the kid like after midnight, which is cute.
That is pretty funny.
But
Did you tell
great
the
red
story
flags.
about why are you in my room?
Yes.
okay,
We did that.
okay,
Oh,
did
girl,
that
we
last
have
time.
video
Good.
evidence on
Oh,
YouTube of that.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we used that video.
We sure did. Of your little like, why are you in my room? And it was like, oh my God, this is so creepy every single time.
It's great. You get great fun things. But yeah, a lot of really good red flags that
Yeah.
then you
But
start
it takes
to
experience to sniff that out
Yeah.
sometimes, or like,
You do.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
the questions that she was asking me were, now that I look back on it with this client, it was things about, well, what if the house burns down? What if the tenant, is in the house and it burns down? She was asking me these really weird,
You're like, are you going to set arson and try to claim
weird,
insurance? Or like, what's
just
happening here?
kind of weird questions. And like I had met her and the dynamic in her, with her husband, it was just a little bit odd. So it was kind of like, oh, wow, there's some folks that you just realize, ooh, this would happen. And it's really unfortunate that it was a combo of these, these residents having a domestic violence issue and then the owner just being really terrible.
Yeah,
Wow.
when they moved out.
So how did it end? Like, were you able to get them both out? Like, because you just
They both got out. We finally, she was already gone and she was just coming to get her stuff to
Okay.
leave.
Okay.
He got out shortly thereafter, and then
was his lease up, or were you guys like
it
we're
was-
terminating? You got to go kind of
Yeah,
situation.
it
And
was
he
like
was like, okay, fine.
4 months in, gone. On a
Brittany
12-month lease.
literally handled this so great because it could have escalated and
yeah.
it was because the owner was so outraged. She kind of she lost sight of all kind of thinking about like what's the legality, and that's really why we're here, is that
Yes.
we can take the emotion out of it.
Right.
And we're not emotionless, because Brittany went to Tahiti for 3 weeks and this woman then called me, and I was hysterical. I was hysterically
She was
in
so
tears.
mean.
I could not even compose myself. The things, I don't even remember what she was saying to me, but it was horrific. She was horrific person. And Brittany dealt with everything so well. She got this guy to, she was like, hey, she created a relationship with him where she was like, hey, I'm your partner. He signed a vacancy agreement because he was like, I'm not moving out and I don't need to, and I'm going to get a roommate. So we're like, is a stripper going to move in? We didn't know what was going to happen.
Which is fine if there's somebody who does stripping that lives at the property.
Well, yeah, but it was just.
Yeah, but like, who knows what that was going to ensue, like what would ensue after. So the fact that you were able to get him to be like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'll go ahead and go. I get this isn't the best situation.
I basically convinced him to leave. But
Yeah.
but really it was from the perspective of what was going to be best for this guy.
Well, and that is true though, because
Yeah.
like, here's the thing. Your girlfriend, ex-girlfriend knows where you live. Do you really want to keep doing this again? Like we do this in real estate. It's no different in what I do versus what you guys do in terms of like, we take on those problems. And like, again, I've had that client, every time my phone would ring, my stomach would hurt. And my mom would be like, you have got to sever. And I'm like, we were in the middle of this escrow and it was a long escrow and it was hell. And like my old partner, Brett, like he pretty much gave me all the commission after, cause he was like, I don't know how you got through that. Like it was, I mean, I was almost in tears, but I was also just like, there's a sickness in me that I'm like, I'm seeing this bitch through to the finish line. And then I immediately blocked them after because I was like, no one gets access to me like that. We are partners, as you said, in this business. We are partners to get the house sold. We are partners to get the house property rented. You're there for the legal reasons. We're here to protect them. Just like you protect them,
Right.
I'm here to protect them as well with the disclosures and the contracts and all those things. So treating us that way is completely unacceptable. And we talk about it a lot on this show where we are not your doormat. We are your partner in this, but back to what you were saying of like trying to protect him. It is a little bit about that too. Like you don't really know, again, like I said, the truth is somewhere in the middle. They were both probably a little bit crazy for even, and crazy sometimes attracts each other that way. Right. So like I can see where they were just oil and water. But if like she kept coming back and he was like, I truly don't want her here or whatever, you're like, you need to move somewhere else. Then you need to completely get away, sever ties. And like the fact that you were able to accomplish that, as she was saying, that's huge.
It was great. And then the day that he actually moved out, I was so grateful. And it was fine. And he appreciated me and we were
sure.
good.
Yeah.
And protected the owner too, because if she was left to her own devices, who knows what she would have done. She would have just went in there and thought, this is my property. I can do what I want, which
you
is
can't.
You can't do
Not
that.
in California.
And
no.
Brittny really did a super great job at navigating that. And it was so, it was just not appreciated. And it was like our fault. And it was like, this isn't,
They're just those clients.
we didn't do that, purposely.
Right.
Obviously this was a really nice property.
Yeah.
It was a great, it was a great opportunity for us. We wanted to do a really great job.
Yeah.
And Brittny handled it really, really well. And the funniest part was we got everyone out and we're like, okay, bye-bye. And she was pissed that we wouldn't continue working with her.
That you fired her. She's like, no. You're like,
What
she
she said to me was, that's the easy way out for Bridgehause is you're just going to not work with me anymore.
You're like, you know what? F you and you're right. I am not working with you anymore.
100%. Why would I want to work with you?
Isn't that wild?
That's insane.
I know.
But again, I've had those too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where no matter what you do, you're never going to do right by the client.
Yes.
Last week, Quinn was here and we were talking about that because he closed a deal with me in Fletcher Hills and I talked a little bit about the deal and, they were pretty good to me and they thanked me profusely, but then I was still getting all of the other back end stuff too. And it was really frustrating because they were upset with somebody else in the deal, but I was getting all the heat for it. But then they thanked me profusely at the end. And then when I asked them for a testimonial, because we had worked so well together, they told me no, they couldn't do that because they could not say anything nice. And I was like, I don't understand. Oh my God, I still hear the bird. Is the bathroom window open? It's right there. Can you see it?
No, it's closed. Yeah.
Where? That bird is loud. You can hear it, can't you?
I can hear it now.
That little motherfucking crow. There's been a crow on the roof that is literally, by the way, dropping bones down and like my neighbor's dog. And we're like, let go, drop it. Like,
Weird.
It's like eating rats and saying,
Yeah.
it won't go away. I don't like a crow. What does that mean? Ew, what does that mean? Is it
We
the
can-
full moon?
No, I don't think crows are a bad omen.
Okay,
Okay,
I don't
that's a
think
myth.
so. I don't think so.
That's a
Because
myth.
he's huge. I've seen him out there and we were like, and he's not afraid. He's just staring at me and I'm not afraid of
We
birds.
should
but I was
legitimately
like,
look this up.
We
after
can look
this.
it up.
okay, we need to
after.
look this up. We can go down a tangent.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry if you can hear the crow. Maybe we should name him. What do we think his name is?
Ben.
Charlie.
I was going to say it's Charles, but then that's Charles Ariba too.
Charles.
Charles the Crow. He's annoying as shit. Anyway, okay. Do you have another story? Manager?
Gandhi.
You can tell that one or the one about...
I don't think that other one is that exciting, honestly.
Okay.
Okay, so... Well, there's a couple things I wanted to say about what you were talking about. Number one is when people are that irate or inconsolable is the word I like to use. It is, I do not, I mean, of course we're human beings and like when someone's berating me, my feelings get hurt. But
Of course.
I was just thinking, oh my God, this woman is married. What is that life like?
I've thought about
What
that
is that
too.
marriage like? This man has to deal with this kind of attitude
All the time.
like he must be just high on weed or whatever.
Or, I mean, I think about it if it's the other way. If he is like a really big asshole, I'm just like, how can she live with that? You know what I'm saying? Or like, and I also, then there's a part of me too that like, as much as I am like such a brat and I just want to like, you know, sometimes like my ego wants to stick it to them and just be mean right back or be petty. It's not going to do anything. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I think about like how sad it must be to be that upset and miserable in your own life all the time. Like we were talking when you walked in that I've just had a hell of a 10 days and like what's upsetting me most is that I don't like to be in a mood. Like I don't like to be upset. I don't like when things aren't going right. That upsets me. And then I'm upset because
you're upset. Oh my gosh.
That was me yesterday.
I'm like spiraling. You know what I mean? And I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I said to you both, I didn't even want a podcast today. And that has never happened. Like I loved it. And Max walked in and was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, like I am. But like everyone check on your realtor friends. Like none of us are okay right now. But like, you know what I mean? Like none of us are doing okay. But it's just like, but I just, for someone who doesn't even like when those things, like I can't imagine being someone like that who is just fucking miserable all the time. Like how sad for you, you know?
Yeah. And it's just life. That's just how life is.
It's just life. Like, you know, it's just, you know, so when I see people like that now, the older me is able to just be like, oh, I'm sorry that you're so miserable in your own life and like just try to move on with it. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to do me any good to take any of that in and to receive that energy. Like what is that going to do do for me? It's only going to upset me and ruin my day.
And it's not your energy and it's not you. And it's just an accumulation of all the messed up things that happen to that person. And you just, 100%. That's what I tell my maintenance tech is like, the interaction that you have with tenants or owners has nothing to do with you. It is an amalgamation of all the things that has ever happened to their life and all the decisions they've ever made about life, themselves, tenants, blah, 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 owning the property. Yep. And you just happen to be the person they're interacting with
100%.
next.
And people don't have the self-awareness enough to know, like yesterday, for example, I was picking something up at Medic. Like I have to take prescription vitamin D because I'm so deficient in it. It's wild how deficient and I just don't absorb it. So I'm taking like a shitload every week. And I got so irritated and I thought about exactly what you just said. When the CVS here in La Jolla, like you can't get anyone. They're like, leave a message with like you cannot ring through to the pharmacy anymore. And it pissed me up. But again, she's been in a tizzy lately, you know? And I walked in and I snarkily said, well, I left a message and I messaged you guys, but since you guys don't answer the phones anymore, I guess you didn't get it. And then I was like, that was really bitchy. I'm not having a great day. Can you just please fill it? And she's like, she smiled at me. She's like, absolutely. And I actually don't like that pharmacy because they've historically just been really rude.
Yeah.
But there's been a new turnover set. But in that moment, I have the self-awareness enough to be like, that was rude. Yes. I should not have said that to her. And I kind of made a joke of it. And then later when I walked back 20 minutes later, grabbed it. She's like, hi. And I was like, she's like, it's ready. And I was like, really sorry about earlier. She's like, don't be sorry. Like she was so sweet about it. But I also recognized it in that moment that I was a total bitch. And it's not, she didn't roll the phones over. It's not her that did it. You know what I mean? It's whoever the pharmacist or the management is. But I've just had such a bad experience for years now at that pharmacy. But it's the closest one. It's cheapest. My prescriptions are like $1.50. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go into the Vons. I don't want to like, there's a delivery charge. So I'm not having you deliver it. So, you know, it's all these things that I'm just so annoyed about. And like, mixed with everything I'm dealing with that I took it out on someone that didn't deserve it, you know? And so, but people don't have that awareness. And I am sometimes hyper aware to where I'll text someone and be like, that was so rude what I said to you on the phone. Like, I'm so sorry. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like,
it registers for you.
It goes over in my mind. And then I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so, and they're like, I didn't even hear you say that. And I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? But I'd rather be that way. Like, I think all the time it must be nice to just be a unaware asshole because like you're just blissfully going along, you know, where I'm over here like, oh my God, did I hurt their feelings? Like, anyway, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What are you going to do?
It's a balance.
It is. But anyway.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just need content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled PROPERTYSHOWCASEGROUP.com. PropertyShowcaseGroup.com. I'm back to talk about our sponsor and producer, Property Showcase Group. This is for all my agent and affiliate friends out there. Property Showcase Group has a special offer for you. The first 3 agents to email Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com will get 1 month free of social media management using code LOCKBOX. That's right, 1 month free. And they're offering 20% off your first video production using code LOCKBOX. For more information, contact Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com, and don't forget to use code LOCKBOX or mention this podcast.
Okay.
Okay.
You had another one.
Okay, so this unit in Old Town.
Ooh.
First of all, owners, sweetest people ever. This client, he volunteers at the airport with therapy dogs.
Oh my God.
So he will, just because he just loves dogs, and we saw him in the airport. We were going to Mexico, and he's retired. And
I love him. I love an old grandpa, by the way.
seriously-
I love a grandma. Like, I'm obsessed.
He's so cute. He just goes and he like takes dogs to pilots, or if there's a passenger who's having some issues with anxiety, he is the person who will walk up
I didn't
with
even
a
know
dog.
that was a thing.
Yes, at San Diego Airport.
That's so cool.
Yeah. He's super sweet. He loves tacos. He literally can talk to you about tacos for like 30 minutes
Oh my
straight.
God, he must know where all the good tacos
took
are. We
us
need to find out.
He took me and Jack, or one of our leasing agents, to Las Cuatro Milpas in Barrio.
Oh.
Which is like, if anybody,
Doesn't know where Barrio is. I mean, it's got the best.
And
yeah.
that taco
Do you agree,
place,
Max?
That taco place.
Is it? Oh, you
that
know
taco-
it. You know it.
So many people know that spot. It is a thing.
It's legit.
It's like abuelitas are cooking everything in the back.
Oh,
or
hell
even in the front.
yes.
You like watch them. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same. Yeah,
it's great.
It's like when you go to Italy and the nonas are in the back and they're the ones doing all the cooking. I'm like, this is the shit. This is the place to eat. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So anyway, the clients are really great. I was going to say earlier that usually when clients are like all wrapped around the axle and like asking questions like, what if we do if the house burns down? Bad things happen at their house.
It's because they're putting that energy out there, right? Then when you get the opposite of this kind of guy, you're like,
The people, well, I mean, sometimes, but the people that just go, thank you, here you go. Are we paying you enough? Yeah. Everything
I
is
do have a couple people
literally like
smooth.
a dream.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Because-
Unfortunately, there was some weird stuff that happened at this guy, but things are going to happen.
well, things happen, but that's a one-off. It's not like, but it's so true. Again,
It really
I've got
is, that
clients like that
energy.
too, that are just like, whatever you say, Steph. Like,
Yep.
you tell me what to do and I'll do
Yep.
it. And I'm like, what? Like, you're not going to fight me
Yeah.
on this? Like, amazing. Like, it is.
And it goes
the-
perfect, and it's
smoothly
smooth.
every time.
Yep.
Even when there's bumps on the road, they're like, well, okay. They're just unemotional. And they're just like, we trust you. You got this. Like, whatever you think we should do, we got ourselves into this. We're going to get out of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yes.
So he's
it's his property. He's a doll. And unfortunately, things happened.
Okay.
So we put 3 gals in the property
Okay.
that we thought were friends. They were not. They
Were they
met
in a love
each other
triangle?
on Facebook. Oh, we have another story about that.
About what?
I said, were they in a
triangle.
love
Oh,
triangle?
weird.
She
You
told
talked
it.
about it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
oh,
like,
oh.
were these girls in a love triangle? So they met
No.
on Facebook and didn't know each other ahead of time, but they didn't tell you that.
We didn't also ask because we don't need to know.
Fair. I mean, they all
Yeah.
show up together and they're chatting and or whatever. You assume they
One
know
of
each
them
other.
showed up because the other 2 were moving here from out of town.
Okay.
Okay, so we're like, okay,
Whatever.
And this one girl was like, kind of heading like she was heading the group. She was like, okay, and we, this
Yeah.
person get their application, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So they all move in.
Sounds very organized.
She seemed very organized.
Yeah, seems fine.
They all move in, and then what was the first thing that happened? Okay, I can't even remember because she moved in with the initial 2 girls. Those 2 girls were let us know, we are absolutely not living here with this woman. She is psychotic, and we have to leave because we are afraid of her.
No.
And I was like, okay, well,
Were they all about the same age, you
yes.
think?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. They were probably mid-20s.
Okay.
Okay. So I let those girls go. I talked to my attorney. She's like, just let them go. And I let this girl bring in 2 new roommates.
So, quick question on that. If that situation, just for anyone out there that is listening, if I call you and I say, I want to get out of this lease because I don't feel safe or whatever, and you let me out, like, is the landlord then requiring, like, sometimes, when you have to break a lease with a landlord, they're like, oh, you have to pay the rest of your, like, did you make them pay anything or do
No.
you just let them out? Like if your attorney's like, just let them go.
I just let them go.
You let them move out. Okay.
Because the alternative is what if
Okay.
something bad happens
Yeah. Agreed.
on the property
But-
with this tenant and they
And
requested
where
to
I
be
think
let
I
out.
find that this doesn't happen is when there's not a property manager involved. When
100%.
It's like, when it's a regular landlord renting everything out himself and he's like, no, I'm not, because it's a money thing for them and they're like, you have to pay this amount or whatever. Okay, so that's
And
good
also
to
when
know.
you see
Yeah.
so many things, it's not ideal for an owner 100%, but it's like what Brittny just said. That's why we talk to our attorney. There's
Yeah.
certain situations
Yeah.
where it makes more sense than if you think about now you're having to manage something that isn't going well when we're like, okay,
Well, there's so much could happen. What if they damage the property and get in a fight, or what if
I
like
mean,
you
beyond
know,
that,
oh,
beyond
yeah,
that,
yeah,
beyond
what if
that.
they hurt each other, or like
Exactly.
oh god,
So we let them out. I even gave them their part of the security deposit back, which in hindsight I shouldn't have done. I didn't do it for the next two girls. But
Yeah, there's two more.
stop.
so this girl said this all happens. I get on the phone with this tenant and I go, "Hey, listen. I think you already know this, but your roommates are moving out. I recommend that you also move out. Okay? I will let you out of the lease. No penalty. Just leave because they were saying too many bad things about this girl. I'm like, I don't want a tenant who's going to be a problem."
Can you give me any example that is
I'm
allowed to be aired?
I'm about to give you an example of the next two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was like, "No, I really like staying here. I have somebody who can move in. I work with her. She's a nurse." And I was like, "Okay, fine." This
My
girl,
parents are going to help me pay, and she continued paying.
oh,
the
because
rent.
I told her you are now going to be solely responsible for $4,000 of rent.
Yeah.
So you should probably get out of it. And she's like, no, I'm going to have a roommate and my parents are going to help me.
In the interim until she moves in.
Yeah,
exactly.
So no lost rent either to the owner.
Okay.
So fine. So
And you're like, maybe there's like two sides to every story. She sounds fine. Her parents are going to pay. She's paying. All right.
yeah,
Okay.
maybe. And when you talk to her, she seems normal. So I'm like, okay. And I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. So I'm like, okay, let me just give this girl another chance. Maybe
You
I don't
are,
know.
but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it is when people are
That crazy.
yeah. So two new girls move in, and then I get an email, a phone call, something from an attorney. One of the girls has told either the girl or the attorney. This girl told me that this girl who's living there, we'll call her L. L is not cleaning up after. She has two dogs and like a cat or something. She's not cleaning up after her pets. There's dog hair everywhere.
Did you know that she had pets?
Yes.
Okay.
We did.
Okay.
She asked this girl to take her dogs out. And she's like, they aren't even really friends. They just know each other.
And Ella's like, hey, roommate number one, can you please let my dog out to go poop?
Yeah, and she's like, absolutely not. That's not my responsibility.
Right.
Then Elle gets irate with her and upset with her. Anyway, the place is a mess. It's not damaged. It's just really dirty.
There's just, I could
Roommate
not live
number
like
one
that.
also tells me she just got pregnant, so she needs to move out. She's like, is that true? I don't know. But I need to move out. I cannot live in these conditions while I'm pregnant. I need to move out.
It's actually brilliant.
Right?
Yep.
Meanwhile, roommate number two, I get a call from her dad. He says, hey, listen, I don't know if you know everything that's going on, but roommate number two has moved out. She's my daughter. She's not doing well mentally. Also, Elle is being absolutely insane. She's not taking her medication, and she flashed her firearm at my daughter.
What?
And I'm like, and then I confirmed it with the other roommate. I didn't lead the witness because I never want to say something like that. So I confirmed the other roommate did say, yes, she didn't say at first that Elle was being insane.
Right.
But this girl is absolutely insane. And there were some things that happened that, me and roommate number two now feel really afraid to be there. So I have now moved out. Number two's dad came down and took all of number two's the number two roommate out of the property. He told me he was going to do it.
Wow.
And then I'm left with Elle. So I have
Again.
another conversation with her. I'm like, girlfriend, you got to go. You gotta go.
What did she say? Like when you called, did you tell her any of this, or were you just like, hey, look, we've now had
It's now not working.
4 roommates.
Yes.
2 sets.
Obviously not working.
Right.
Why don't you go live somewhere by yourself?
Yeah. That you can afford.
Yeah.
That mom and dad are not having to help you pay for.
Yeah. And you don't
also,
ever have to deal with
Stay on
another
your meds
person.
because it sounds like you need medication.
Gosh, yeah. And so I talked to my attorney. She's in the middle of a lease. We're like in the middle of a 6-month lease. I mean, a 12-month lease, or about 6 months in. And the attorney tells me that I can't kick her out until the end of the lease. But I told her, well, I have all these people that I've been on and off the lease. She goes, okay, well, then you have to allow her to sublease the property. You say to her, I'm not going to put a new person on the lease, but I will allow you to sublease the property, even though in the lease it says no subleasing. But because she's in an agreement to pay $4,000 a month, we can't legally tell her she's on her own.
And is this California law where like we can't just kick somebody out? Or is this like, what was the, I mean, if you have reason to believe that she has a firearm on the property or like any of that, like it didn't matter. Like
That's all hearsay. I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless like one of my staff saw it.
Right.
Which I'm not sending anybody there.
No.
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 So we allow her to sublease the property.
And she had agreed to go.
Nowhere.
Oh, so you let her sublease the other rooms essentially.
Yes. So I told her she can,
God, I'm gonna
again,
be in this situation
she
again.
can leave. She can leave.
But
you
she's
can
like,
leave.
"No, I
she's
like
like,
it
no,
here."
I know somebody else who can move in. I'm like, I'm going to just, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder. Okay. So this girl moves in, subleased. I don't even know where to start with this. woman.
How long was she there before you heard from her?
2 weeks.
Oh my God.
First of all, Elle and her mom collected too much of a security deposit.
Oh,
Then
and kept it?
we had to force them to give it back to her. Force them. They in their lease agreement with this woman, it said, we have 30 days to return your security deposit when you move out. That's illegal. It's 21 days in California. So
And wait, who drafted this lease for the sublease?
they did. It's not my business.
Because that's where we were in the situation where the attorney was like, well, this is an option. We're like, well, we don't want to continue to deal with people on our lease. So we can give her the option to sublease because we can't just say, well, you have,
And then she
you're
would be responsible for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and she's
Okay.
going to pay us $4,000 a month,
And-
and she's going to do what she's going to do. But okay, this is a way for us to kind of
So
arm's
she can
length.
basically collect
Whatever she wanted.
whatever she wanted from that tenant.
Oh, and she got her mom involved, which we were like, okay, cool, mom's involved. Like things are going to get better. Oh no.
Mom, apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yes,
She's all, I'm charging you $10,000 for this.
pretty much. $10,000 a month to rent a room.
This lessee wrote a bad review of us on the Better Business Bureau about us.
No.
Well,
You're
not
like,
even
we didn't
even our tenant.
And
You're
we
like,
didn't
we
even, we weren't even involved. But she found our information. Oh, and then I think one of them created like a Facebook post.
Oh, yeah.
Warning people not to move into this unit with Elle. Like it was on
Wow.
Facebook, and it wasn't a bad review. It was on. She tagged us on Facebook.
No, she also gave us a bad review.
No,
Yes, she did. Yes, she did, because then our broker got involved, and no?
no.
Oh.
No, that was something
kidding.
different.
Oh, just kidding.
But either way.
Oh yeah, and it's like that's not even us.
That was not us. And we got all the business partners involved and sent an email to Elle and her mom saying, hey, number one, you can't deduct anything from their security deposits, any of these girls, because nobody even lived here long enough to do any damage. And
Except mentally, but
yeah, then the lease, always remember November 30th, 2024, 6 days before I gave her a notice to vacate.
It was
This just happened.
Yeah. What's really interesting is that, even those like tiny details with people, they don't know how it goes. So you're drafting up your own leases, you're taking security deposits, you're not doing that stuff right. The tenant finds out, you're now out all of the rent that you made plus attorney fees. And because you put 30-day versus 20, like those small things that left to your own devices and you don't know what the laws and
Yeah.
regulations are, it's
Yeah.
it's not fun, and you're already dancing around super sensitive situations. So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that's like, you know, Brittany's really, really, really great at that, and she's got
and
a
tenant
really
rights are
tight.
so strong in California that like when you have someone who's just going to go rogue like that, like, you know, I mean, I've had like landlords that like would say things and I'm like, you know, I'm a real estate agent, right? Like you can't say that. Like you also can't, you know, deny somebody if they're like, oh, we have like a pet, you know, whatever, or, you know,
An ESA.
disability or yeah,
Oh.
which that's gotten a little.
We have people that say, oh, and I don't want to rent to children. I'm like, don't say that out loud.
You know what's so funny?
I don't want to rent to a pregnant person. Don't say that out loud.
I
ever.
have clients of mine that were like, hey, I just saw them on Saturday. If they're listening, they're going to laugh at this because I literally said, if you guys move to Florida and decide to rent this out, I'm going to give you property managers, you guys. And they're like, okay, but like we only want to rent to military people. And I was like, then you're going to have to rent it by yourself because we cannot discriminate.
Yeah.
And they're
Yes.
like,
But people, I get that. Like people say that to me and I
Yeah.
go, okay. And we do get a lot of military folks because we're in
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah.
But let me tell you like how we do and how we
Yes.
qualify people.
right.
And then,
which is what I said to her. I was like, you will be in good hands because they're not just going to like throw it up there and just be like, first people to sign a lease,
Yeah.
go for it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I get
and it's
that.
just like, can we maybe
Yeah.
interview that? But I mean, I've had people say like, I want age restrictions, or I have had clients in the past do racial things.
Oh, we have
and
too.
I'm like,
We have too.
No,
Yeah.
no. Like,
And
this
sometimes-
is what year is this?
yeah,
What is happening?
People don't know. You know, they think that, you know, we've had military residents, and I mean, it's nothing against military, but there was like a group
No,
and
there's been
they
issues.
cycled out
Yeah.
and then he ended up leaving and pretty much destroyed the property.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, I'm like, listen, there's not like
He wasn't.
one group-
He had been retired from the military
Yeah.
for like 30 years. This
Yeah.
gentleman.
but there was
Yeah.
there was like a group of military folks that came in and
Who were
out
great.
of those people
Yeah.
of that property.
Yeah.
But
You know,
it doesn't matter though. There could be somebody who's
Yeah.
military that he has a drinking problem, not because he's in the military, just because
Exactly.
he has a drinking problem. And like, you know, you
They're
think
people.
that
People
they're-
are messy.
People are people, and that's what I
People are
say,
people.
that
They're
we
not.
screen-
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what class you give them. Like
Yeah.
they could be amazing tenants or they
Exactly.
could be the worst tenants. You know, because
Exactly.
yeah, some people
We have
will be like
amazing military tenants. Amazing.
100%. And people will be like, well, no dogs. And it's like, yeah, but his dog is like a therapy dog or whatever. Or he has the sweetest like golden retriever. And
Yeah.
they're like, you know what always gets me on the pet thing is like, they'll be like, cats okay, not dogs. And I'm like,
Cats
okay.
are-
Disgusting. Sorry. Come at me, people. I don't give a shit. I am allergic and I don't like them.
Oh,
Do you have
okay,
cats?
okay.
I don't, but
She has a dog.
But cats are cute. She knows.
I
She-
don't. It's not for me. It's not
It's
for me.
not for me either. I
It's
just
not
can't
for
do
me.
the litter box in the house and it smells
And the
like
shedding.
cat.
And also they scratch things. And I'm
Yeah.
like, find one thing around here that my dog has destroyed.
Yeah.
You won't.
You
Like,
come to my house.
now I know there's dogs that chew, but cats scratch, and they
Yeah.
also go to the bathroom in the property.
Yeah.
You want me? Okay. You know, it's like things like that. I just
Yeah.
don't understand. Or people will say like, I don't want, you know, families, no kids. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
But pets, regardless, I mean, it makes a property so much more desirable. You're going to get more traffic. You're going to get
Totally.
you're going to get higher
but I
rent.
understand even dogs. There are people that don't clean up
Yeah.
after their dogs. Dogs
Yeah.
shed. Dogs do chew. They get puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand all of that because I am such a clean freak. So like, I get it. You have a puppy now.
Yeah.
I went through it with Gwen. Gwen doesn't shed, but like, I also got lucky and she wasn't a chewer. She never touched one thing, and I never moved anything. Not even my shoes. Like, I got very lucky. It was very,
Was she a puppy?
yeah.
Oh wow.
She
She's
never.
cute.
Oh, she's such a pain in the ass, but she's
Is she
adorable.
here?
No.
No.
She's at daycare. She attacked Chloe last time she was here with her licks.
Oh, I love.
She just
that.
like licked me through the like
I was like,
half
can
of the
we,
entire episode.
can we not, I hate licking. I hate it.
Well,
the
I hate it.
doggies.
Yes.
I love it. They're
I
so
hate- oh my
cute.
She's
God.
really
You will
cute.
love-
Kissing.
oh my God, you will be obsessed with her.
I
All
will.
she does is lick.
She's a mini Duke.
Yes,
She's
I
so
saw
cute. I'll say you
a
a
little
yeah,
picture of her.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god,
She's
That
really
she looks like that in person too. Yeah, she's. I mean,
God.
I'm obsessed with her. But she was just being. I don't like her when we're podcasting. Anyway, that's insane. So
Yeah.
you just really do see it all of it. What time is it?
all of it.
Okay, we have to wrap this. Oh wait,
Yeah.
what did we just get an alert?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was an Amber Alert. No, it was definitely not. Or did you guys get an alert the day we had the earthquake?
Yes.
Yes, but after it was over,
I did not. I never got one, and I was
Oh.
like, cool.
I got it like way after.
You're like, the shaking's
I
over,
was
but
like,
thank
oh,
you
thanks
so much
for letting me know.
One of the girls in our office is from Mississippi, and it was her first earthquake ever. So
was
she
a
was
big
like
one.
stoked. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they didn't even move though. I was like, is there an earthquake? And I like popped out my window to the office, And the girls were just sitting there.
And they're like, I think so.
I
And
got
you're-
up and like stood in the doorway because what we didn't realize until that day is if you grew up in California, you knew about earthquake safety. You would get under a table, you get in a doorway.
Yeah.
It's
I was running for the doorway
Yeah.
when it stopped. Like it, because Gwen, you could hear it, this one. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but I was here and I could hear it. And like the building was like squeaking and like this building I don't trust anyway, that I was like, I'm outside. But like by the time when I went to stand up, I got knocked back onto the couch, which has never happened.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And Gwen started barking and was like growling and like she could feel it. And I'm sure it was like scary for her. So I scooped her up. And by the time I got to the door, I was opening the door to stand in the doorway and it had stopped. But I was like, it's like my head always knows what's happening before my body. And so then it's like before I know, or my body knows before my head, and I'm up and I'm like going. And it was a big one.
It was.
That was the biggest one I felt. I felt 7 or 8 small, you're just like, was that an earthquake?
Yeah,
you
and
know,
we have
it's
a bunch
usually
of
like
construction
that.
happening in our building. So if there's any other kind of like movement, it's
just think
upstairs.
it's someone,
They're putting all our power lines underground right now. They have been the last few months. They started in 2020. It went nowhere for a while, and then now they're finishing it. And so like our power was supposed to be off the other night. They worked all through the night. It never went out, which I was like, okay. But when over Easter that week for 2 days, it was out for 6 hours during the day because they were literally taking everything under. So I thought, are they doing more work out there? Like, what the hell is that shaking? Because when they were doing it in 2020, they were using jackhammers pulling up the street. I mean, our building was shaking. And I was like, it was so loud right when everyone was working from home. Like, it was insane. And so I thought it was that. And then I was like, oh my God, no, this is an earthquake. Like, then you realize like what's happening. Yeah, it was wild. But that was the first time that I was actually like a little bit shaky, where I was like, holy shit. That was a big
it took
one.
a little while to like bring
Was it like
down.
6.7 or something?
I think it was in.
I don't know. It was in
Julian 5.4.
Yeah, but it was
something like that.
It was
big.
It was decent. I mean, it wasn't an 8 or a 9.
They
like,
felt it in Orange County. My aunt and uncle felt it in
it was
Brea.
insane.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy? As I'm standing, we gotta go. I know that no one gives a shit about this, but my sister-in-law, as I'm like getting into the doorway and it's over, LA had already got the alert also, and she was on a conference call with her client or a associate in LA, and he's like, oh shit, there's an earthquake happening. Oh, it says San Diego. And she immediately sends me a text, are you okay? I just saw you guys had, like, and he's told her it was a pretty big one. Like, all of this was coming through in a matter of seconds. And I was like, how did you find? She's in Virginia. I'm like, how did you know? And she's like, I'm like, I'm shaking, but I'm okay. Like,
I probably had like 10 clients email me from out of town being,
is my property okay?
Yes, and
Yeah.
we checked in
Yeah.
with tenants and
Yeah.
we made sure everything was all
Yeah.
right, and everybody was fine.
it was fine. There was like, didn't you say a picture fell at your house? Like
Yeah.
there was some small stuff,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. We've had bigger, like in the 90s and early 2000s, that like stuff came off walls and stuff.
Yes.
So I'm glad that
Yes.
didn't happen. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay. Do you want to play a game?
Yeah, I
Okay.
love games.
This is, you didn't. You were like, oh my God, didn't you?
I don't know.
Game-
No,
you love games too.
I do love games, but I
answered
I
good.
knew it was coming.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
She didn't
that's
know
true.
it was coming.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
called
love
Punch
games.
List, where I hit you with 3 questions. Okay.
Oh, geez.
I know. I
okay.
could talk
I'm
to you all
scared.
day. Okay.
All right.
Ready? Let's see. Hold on. I have a couple here. Let me ask you. Okay. What is the craziest request a client has ever made? This could be a tenant or a landlord.
Oh my gosh. The craziest request a client
Did I ask you that one?
has ever made?
Standing on the
Oh
car.
yeah.
What? I don't even.
Can you think of one for her?
Yeah, think of one for me. I have a absolute
That's
terrible
okay if you don't.
memory.
Some people don't have like answers. Like where
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the craziest or weirdest thing you've ever walked in? And they're like, honestly, like nothing so far. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
good for you.
Right? I
Yeah.
know.
That's good.
I don't
okay.
know.
Here's one that I want to know for you. What's your biggest pet peeve? This can be in life or in business. My list is long.
People chewing with their mouth open.
Oh, I love it.
That's Chloe's pet peeve is people chewing with their mouth
Yeah.
open with a banana in their mouth. She hates that little mush mush.
Such a
noise.
gross. It's so gross. She'll come over and eat a banana like
Okay.
that just to piss me
There's,
off.
but I have a lot of other ones. Like people don't take my coaching. People don't do what I say specifically to do. Like, listen, I'm telling you this because I can see
When they
the
ask
future.
or-
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see the future. I know exactly what's going to happen. If you just do this, we'll be fine. And then they don't.
Then
I'm
they
like,
don't. And then it happens. And then you're like,
I'm
I
like,
told you so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I have to be like, well, we can work on that.
You should start a
next time.
podcast called I Told You So. Where you just tell stories
Right.
of everything that you've told people to do and they don't do it.
And they don't do it.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
so funny.
I told you so.
I told you so.
Oh my gosh.
I need to tell people more things to do then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll become your
It'll make
life's
you feel
mission.
good. Yeah, to tell everyone what to do, and then they don't do it, and you're like, this is more content for my podcast. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, and then you don't even get mad about it.
Yeah, because you're like,
it's contributing.
Well, it's contributing. Thank you for contributing to my content.
Yes.
If you could be anything other than a property manager or like in the real estate game, what would you do and why?
In the real estate game?
Yeah, if you could do anything other than like real estate.
Okay.
What did you do before this life? I know what she did. Did she work with you? No.
No. No. I was a chief of staff for a personal professional training and development company that's worldwide.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's why you're so good at this job too. Because you were chief of staff, like you're able to really run the operations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the amount of peopleness, humanity that I had to deal with was incredible. And I mean, I worked for the guy who was like accountable for the training of all the leaders worldwide, from like Japan to India to Australia to Canada, whatever, you know. So I
learned
like
a ton, like business wise, and just like
he was like a sensei. Like he could look at somebody and in 5 minutes he would know so much about you and be able to. I mean, he empowered. The reason I always tell him, like, people, my parents raised me and that as a kid, and then he raised me as an adult.
I love that.
He's exceptional. So I
That's
used to
super
do
cool.
that, but when I was a kid, I always wanted to be like an ambassador.
Oh,
Like
no
I
one
always
has ever said that. I love that.
wanted to be an ambassador for the U.S. somewhere in the world.
That'd be so cool.
Because one of the courses that I took, which was kind of trippy, I was 19, and in the course, and this is like a very quick side story. Okay, so one of the courses, you're like sitting, there's like 80 people, and there's the leader like leading a course, and they just have a conversation with you, and
Yeah.
you like discover blind spots, and you have breakthroughs and all this stuff, you know, like. It sounds woo-woo, but it was very cerebral. It's very
yeah, I
like
get it.
language oriented.
That's
so
pretty cool.
There was this guy who was
And you took this in a course, like it was like in
in a
college or
course.
whatever. Okay.
No, it was like outside of.
Okay, but it was still
college.
like a class essentially. Okay.
Yes. So this Hindu guy got up on stage. He was like 60, and he was telling a story about how he grew up in India, and he was always told to not trust Muslim people and don't go into their homes, don't buy things from the stores. It was like a whole, thing that he inherited from his family, from his
course.
lineage. I mean, whatnot.
Yeah.
In like a 15-minute conversation that the leader had with him, to discover that was actually inherited by his lineage. This Muslim man got up on stage and invited this guy over for dinner, and he said yes. And it was in that moment when I was 19 that I realized that, I mean, it's so corny, but like I literally saw two feuding cultures make amends
In that moment.
in the middle, in front of my eyes. So that's kind of what like birthed me wanting to, I don't know, have the fantasy of being an ambassador. It's like I'm Jewish.
That's so
culturally.
cool. Yeah.
And I've known people who are Palestinian.
Of course.
And it's, if Palestinians and Jews can get along, so can Hindus and
Yes.
Muslims or Indians
Yeah.
and Pakistanis
Yep.
and Ukrainians and
Yep.
Russians.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what
We need
I
more
would
of
want
you
to do.
in this world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
We need more of you too.
Yeah. All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
I love that. That's such a cute note to
That's
end
a great
on.
answer. Wow. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
It was either that or like a movie star, but
Mine was like country music singer, and I'm like,
Yes!
I'm like sitting here like in awe of you, and I'm like, God, I'm such a shit. I'm like,
Right?
I want to be famous, and she's like, I want to bridge like the country and lives together.
We're like, we
And
just
me
want to
and-
go on a private
Me
jet.
and Chloe are like, we just want fucking money, like whatever, like go away, like that's okay.
I'm into that too.
She'll be our ambassador, and
Exactly.
she'll travel with us. Yeah, we're just gonna take you everywhere.
yeah,
with us.
yeah.
we go.
She's smaller
Exactly.
than us. We can just in
Exactly.
our pocket.
Perfect.
Yes. I love you guys. Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we became besties too.
too.
I know.
And that
Finally.
you didn't give up on me.
No.
You were like, you're great. You just had, you can't drink now and you've had one too many drinks. Like we'll circle back to you when you're sober and you actually know who we are. Thanks.
And she was like, I don't know Chloe. Who's Chloe?
And
I'm
the
like,
way
that
she-
girl. And she
the
goes,
way she
no,
came back
I don't
to
know
me,
that person. I'm like, all
I was
right.
like, okay.
And
By
by
the
the
way-
way, Stephanie doesn't know who you are, just so you know.
She just said it like that too.
For somebody who is so like, I did have one too many drinks,
But we didn't
because-
know each other. So
We didn't,
it's
but
okay.
also in the moment, I would have that's not how I respond. I would have been like, wait, who's Chloe? I never would say, I don't know. And I was all over the place that night, but like that was so out of character for me that I was
the
like,
best.
I've never let myself live it down because I'm just like, what a fucking asshole you are. Like, what?
We thought it was so
I thought it was
funny.
hilarious.
And then I
was like, I finally had the courage to say hi to Stephanie Zalowski, and she's like, I don't know you. I'm like, well, you referred me a client like 500 years ago, but I know who you are.
Chloe knows who a lot of.
I just remember faces, but you're everywhere, so it's easy to spot you.
I mean, I okay.
You famous.
You famous.
I don't know
girl.
about that, but this is why I have you guys here. You can just pump me up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Well, now we're going to do everything together. Are you both going to the Venture night or just you? Anyway, we can talk about this
Going
later. We
where?
have to go.
Yeah.
We'll
We
talk about
gotta
this
go.
later. Okay.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Please do not forget to follow us on Instagram. Download the show on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.